happy July 5th. Hope you guys' 4th of July was great. Ours was alright. I guess you could say it went out with a bang. But we're currently working on the valley. And by that, I mean Ryan and I go to how farms work. He's got the drone buzzing around down here. I'm working down the valley. He's actually up on the bench. It's the field ground. It used to be the former row crop ground, but it's the bench. It is the ground that even if this stuff floods, at least I can make that again. That stuff is over 75% clover. It's starting to bud out. The little bit of rye that was there that I seeded in was starting to head out again. It's 34 days, 35 days since we cut it last. And I put a generous dose of fertilizer on with the dry spreader back in April. It didn't get any liquid. And to be honest with you, it's going to. I mean, the plan is, depending on how much of the bottom I can get cut, because I don't know if I can cut everything. I can't cut everything compared to if it was a little bit drier. But I got 30, 40. Plus, we're not doing the waterways over there yet. We're just doing the crop ground and not the steeper waterways, because it is mainly grass. And my intentions are, I'm starting to pick and choose what needs to be cut, what should be cut. And the clover, I'll probably end up cutting one more cutting, potentially 2 more cuttings off of what he's cutting right now. It's pretty deceiving. He's not doing everything up there. I mean, the waterways alone, I think, are like 8 acres. So there's like 30. I can't remember all this off the top of my head right now. There's approximately 35 to 40 acres that Ryan is cutting with the 4640 and the coon cutter. I'm down here. I'm probably going to end up right around 30 acres down here, because I know I can't cut everything up on the upper end. And to be honest, this stuff isn't yielding as much as it normally does. The big giveaway for that is I've cut this. This is probably my 1, 2, 3, 4. This is probably my 6th time in my history of like running this ground that I've cut the bottom. And this is the first time in the history of ever that I'm cutting first cut. This is the first time this has been cut. And if you guys can tell behind us, I'm windrowing it. In the past, it's always been so heavy, so tall, and don't get me wrong, it is fairly tall. The closer you get to the river, the heavier it is. I actually lose it here. But the closer you get towards the field, there's swamp. It's swamp. And currently, it's got its own little water source. It's actually shorter the closer you get towards the field, and it's actually nicer, taller, thicker towards the grant. So this probably, almost certainly, definitely is not going to yield as much as it typically does for a first cut. But you know what? If I can come through, and I'm going to come through, and get fertilizer spread on this and try to get another cutting in 45 to 60 days, and I could get 6 tons overall, I'd be happy. Last year I got 4.5 tons cutting one crop the end of August, and you know, your quality definitely isn't going to be there. So 2 cuttings off of this, I'm content with it. This actually is the first time in recent memory that I can remember cutting with 2 machines, 2 mowers. I remember riding around with Dad and Grandpa in the 4230 and the 2955, the 9-foot sickle bar mowers. Slow, time consuming. That's why they had 2 of them. But the problem is, which I'm hoping isn't going to be that big of a deal going forward. But even back then when we were milking, even though we had two sickle machines to cut hay with, Dad said it was kind of hard to coordinate to get 2 people available to actually run. Dad said more times than not he would cut by himself. How would it go? I mean, it used to be pretty busy around here when we used to milk and we're at our heyday. You know what I mean. Between having somebody cut, I didn't drop a gear. Between having somebody cut till 11 and have them switch over and help haul in hay, or have somebody cut all day while somebody else is raking and then they start chopping, and I was still pretty young to really be around and remember a lot of that. I vaguely remember it when I was certainly too young to be driving or helping. But we're growing on our ground, on our acres. Our hay ground actually just dumped up again. What's Ryan doing? Our hay acres actually jumped up again. We're over 100 acres down here. There was approximately 100. We're probably at 100, 120, 130. If I could cut everything, I'd say it's 130 easily. And trying to go through and get 2 cuttings off of it at least. 3 cuttings. Starting to think that forget trying to make a lot of this grass in June just because it is a wetter month, and waiting till the 1st of July and trying to get your first cut of your grass then. Your tonnage is a little bit heavier. Your quality might not be super duper great, but everybody gives this is Reed Canary we're in right now. Everybody gives this stuff such a bad rep because if it gets too tall, it gets too stalky, all it's good for is bedding. Okay, well, I'm gonna come through and this stuff this stuff is gonna get tedded twice. The reason I do that, well, last year for sure, because 4.5 ton, it was stupid thick. But even now, I'm gonna come through and ted it twice. The reason I'm gonna ted it twice is because when you're pulling it through that tedder and you're whipping it around, you're beating the stalk up, you're breaking it up, you're helping it dry out better, but you're also making that stalk a little bit not quite as coarse. I'm not saying it's a silver bullet that it's just gonna be super duper great feed, but it does help. That's my opinion on that. So as far as running 2 disc binds, because I'm all over the board, Ryan's cutting the field ground. That would, if I had to cut that and everything down here, I'd be here till midnight. So having the mindset of trying to purchase more machines so we can start complementing each other a little bit more, cover more acres in less amount of time. The next pinch point, the rake is actually fine. The Rhino rake will handle this just great. For how heavy this stuff is, we're not pulling the New Holland rake across it. It's too slow. It's 90 degrees plus out for the next couple days, so I'm going to ted it hopefully twice. And I'm going to come through, have Ryan actually go through with the 46 and that Rhino rake, pull in 30 feet of material in one pass, and actually make as wide of a windrow as he can, because that actually allows me to cover more ground quicker round baling. Then actually our pinch point is going to turn into round baling, being able to get it made fast enough, and then after that getting it off the field fast enough, because we are in a floodplain and they are calling for an 80% chance of rain in 5 days. I'm pretty sure 80% chance of rain. There is potential that this could flood down here. Not very likely, but they are calling for more rain scattered throughout the following week after that. And I want my feed made, because this also drops my cost of production down. The more feed that I can make at the end of the day, I have fixed costs for the most part. The more fertilizer, net wrap, I'm actually thinking about coming down with, and I'll actually having Andrew bring me a mix of spray, and I'm going to come down and take care of some of the weeds. I would have done that earlier, but the sprayer was not available. But the weeds are not bad down here. They're just not. I mean, there's a little bit of pressure on the end right there, but out through here, a sporadic, very sporadic weed. Other than that, this is some beautiful stuff. So the plan is to get it in off the field, put a very generous dose of hay preservative on it, because you know what? Less is more. You know, you're saving money on that stuff. I've said it before, I'll say it a million times more. I bought that acid preservative applicator for insurance. It's peace of mind so I can sleep at night, because I do not want to worry about my hay sheds, or my hay in general, going up in smoke, or just the hay itself just rotting on me. I need good quality stuff. I mean, even the lower quality stuff, it still has some value to it. I mean, it sounds kind of mean, but I actually, at the end of the summer, at the end of my hay season, the lowest quality feed on the totem pole is going to be the first stuff that gets fed to my cows. And the nicer quality stuff, you know, in a perfect world, that'll bring you the better price at the sales barn. And that'll be the first stuff that goes down the road. I'm just trying to be diverse. I had an opportunity to pick this ground up, and I knew what I could do down here. I knew what this ground could do down here. Looking at running it for the foreseeable future, so I feel a lot more confident putting fertilizer down, getting the ground built back up, and addressing some of the soil issues that we have down here. And I'm not just depending on corn, beans. I added the cattle, so the cattle's going to be nice. I get those paid off. That should be, well, I'm actually going to keep growing the herd, but it'd be nice if I could actually sell $20,000 to $40,000 worth of feeders every year. That's what I'd like to get up to. And if I don't owe any bank on a loan for those cattle, I mean, that money is a nice bump right there, plus with the row crops, plus with this. If I got to feed more through my cattle, that's not so bad either, because it's diversifying where it's going. It's not going entirely through my cattle or entirely down the road. I'm putting some through my cattle. I'm sending some, putting wheels under some of it and sending it down the road. So just being diverse. This, I do this anymore almost as a de-stressor. To be honest, we went from March to July way too freaking quick. It's going to be harvest before we know it. I got to get the combine out. We got to start doing some work in the combine yet. I got a lot of things that we got to cover in the next 60 days while still mixing in getting future cuttings cut, because we still have all of my dad and brother's hay to cut. So I don't mind it. I don't mind making hay. I actually enjoy it. Doing this right now is my favorite part of summer. I like cutting hay. I enjoy it. I don't enjoy the stress of when's the next rain gonna hit, but window time, tractor time, turning the steering wheel, it's therapy. It's farmer therapy, I guess. Unless you don't like running tractors and you're a cattle guy, and going out and watching your cattle chew their cud is therapy. I like doing that too. But I can't stand in the machine shed all the time and work on machinery. That's boring. That is very boring. Okay, why am I moving the SCV so much? Well, this is a hydro swing mower, and I'm very bad at just leaving it go and completely controlling where the disc bind is by where I'm driving through the field, because you guys can tell I'm trying to straddle this windrow. And by doing that, I'm also watching where the disc bind is, because I'm trying to utilize the full 11 and so feet of the cutter bar as I can. And the nice thing about being able to windrow this down here is because this ground is kind of soft, it's bottom ground. I'm sinking in right here. I actually wasn't over there so bad. Right here I'm sinking in about the depth of the tread of the tractor tires. And I'm hoping with 90, 95 degree days, it's humid, yes, but leaving it sit until tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to come down about, well, actually I can go up, ted out everything Ryan's doing about 11 o'clock. That's only going to get tedded once. This stuff down here, I'll wait until probably about 1 o'clock or whenever I get done with that, and I'm going to come down and ted this, get the ground dried out. I have the cutter bar tilted all the way back. I'm leaving about at least an inch and probably closer to 3 inches of stubble. A little bit more in some other areas. I'm trying to leave a little bit more stubble so it's not dropping the windrow completely on that ground, because the moisture is there. And when I come through and ted it and I whip that, I whip that material out, it'll actually come back down and it'll lay on the stubble and still allow a pocket of air underneath it. And ideally keep the moisture from getting back into the hay, because the hay preservative is going to come in handy. I put on a very generous amount on the 30 acres we did the other day, more than even I was aiming for, but it said that if you're going to be stacking it inside, basically, coat it, and that's exactly what I did. I think I was running right around 128 pounds per hour with the red nozzles. And with the rain we got in the forecast, the fertilizer should be here sometime this week. Andrew's just got to bring it down is all. I'm going to hit this, the field ground, and the neighbor's place, or the neighboring place to this. And that's really what I want to do with that fertilizer in the first place. If I could get it all cut, put fertilizer down on all of it, hey buddy, on all of it right off the bat, or after each cutting, and it might be the first and last time I use that fertilizer for this year. Just because some of this grass, even if you cut it, get one really good cutting off of it, and honestly it looks like leave it lay till the end of the summer, and we don't have a year like last year where it was pretty much wet the whole summer. Try to get two healthy cuttings off of it, fertilized for a second healthy cutting. The big thing is, I'm guilty of it. I'm not watching my cost production as closely as I should of my row crops, but I'm watching it like a hawk down here. We've burned through we're over 300 gallons we've burned down here making this hay alone of diesel. But I am watching the fertilizer and everything else, the net wrap, the hay preservative, and keeping my cost production down is what's going to help me stay profitable down here. And the thing is too, with the weather, I'm going to be ending this quick. With the weather being 90 degrees out, I want to address that real quick. I can see on my last pass how quick it's drying out. Just literally adjusting it really quick. Literally my last pass right there, I can already see how much it's drying out already. It's with the breeze we got and the sun that's hitting it, the ground and the hay itself. I'm hoping to make some quality stuff, because they're forecasting the 80% chance of rain the next chance we have. 80% chance of rain is a guaranteed chance of rain, and actually a good chance for a lot of rain. So I'm gambling. I should have just went to the river, right? But if I didn't cut this now, looking at the current forecast, it could be the middle of June very easily on me, and then I lose that much time for my regrowth to come back. It's a risk. It's farming. Farming is nothing but a constant battle with risks and stress, and how much stress and how much you really want to risk all at one time. So, well, I'm actually able to go a little bit quicker, but we're actually, I hope you guys, I borrowed a camera from Ryan. I didn't bring my camera down, so I'm using Ryan's GoPro, so I don't know what its settings are, but you gotta admit, that looks really nice. It's not gonna be super heavy, but that's okay, because I'm gonna do a second cutting. Ideally, I know a guy, and I'm gonna talk to him, and I'm really hoping that I can get a chance to coordinate and get the weather where it is perfect, where it gives us a week and a half of predicted good weather. And I'm gonna go through and get this machine greased up, cleaned up, ready to go, new teeth on it. The coon over there, greased up, excuse me, new blades on it, ready to rock and roll. And then I know a guy that I may see if I can't convince him to come down with his 13-foot mower. I think his is a 956, and run 3 mowers down here at the end of the summer and knock all this down all in one big go, because it's not going to be as heavy at the second cutting as it will be a first cutting. And if we have the weather that'll allow us to do it, I just think that'd be so cool. I really do. I want to start getting some more equipment around, so Dad, Ryan, and I can start doing more to complement each other. Somebody had mentioned that we don't have the equipment. Like, what would we do with another tractor if we only have one disc bind? Well, here's the thing. I want to get another disc bind, get another rake. I mean, we have 2, 3 available to us right now, but another nicer wheel rake, so we could run even 2 rakes. Or we're not going to run more than 1 baler, but a nicer, heavier built baler, so it can handle some more tonnage per hour. I have no intentions of being in the same position with the same machinery and running the same ground in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And you got to constantly be looking down the road. And with the cattle and the hay and the crops, and I have some other things that are working in my favor. I don't know. Granted, the markets weren't that great, but I'm not exactly staring at the markets grinding my teeth either. I don't know if I should say it on YouTube and not get thrown in the dirt for saying it, but I'm actually feeling pretty optimistic for the future. So, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, thanks for riding along. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. Make sure you go to How Farms Work. I really like watching myself the drone videos that Ryan makes down here. I think this is a hay farm. It's not a row crop farm. I told the landlords that when I took it over again, that I have no intention of raising corn and beans down here, but it is making one hellacious amount of hay, which I'm happy for. Like I said, I'm feeling good about it. So, until next time, take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'll talk to you later.